Hey y'all, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are when you see this video. Thank you for joining me to Dorothea on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. It is October 25th, 2025, but this video is going to come out tomorrow on Sunday, probably Sunday morning. And this is an update on what's going on with Trump's war with Venezuela and these boats. Let's go right to the article, shall we? U.S. intel contradicts Trump's claims of fentanyl production in Venezuela. The U.S. Navy has killed at least 32 people in airstrikes on boats allegedly trafficking drugs off the coast of Venezuela. This came out today. U.S. intelligence has assessed that little to no fentanyl trafficked to the U.S. is being produced in Venezuela, contradicting recent claims from U.S. President Donald Trump to justify airstrikes on alleged drug boats. Trump claimed last month that boats targeted in U.S. airstrikes in the Caribbean were carrying fentanyl to the U.S. Every boat kills 25,000 on average. Some people say more. You see these boats, they're stacked with big bags of white powder that's mostly fentanyl and other drugs too, Trump said. U.S. strikes on vessels operating in international waters in the Caribbean Sea since September have killed at least 32 people. As you know, we already covered all this. The fisherman has been, 40-year-old Colombian fisherman Alejandro Carranza has been identified as one of the men killed in a U.S. boat strike in mid-September, which the Colombian president was upset about. And in the last report I did on this story about these drug boats. Since early September, the U.S. has been carrying out strikes on the boats in the Caribbean, accusing people on board of being drug traffickers. However, a senior U.S. official directly familiar with the matter stated that fentanyl is not being produced in Venezuela and sent to the U.S. The official noted that many of the boats targeted for strikes by the Trump administration do not even have the requisite gasoline or motor capacity to reach U.S. waters, DSN reported. The lack of intelligence linking Venezuela with fentanyl production is further evidence that the strikes are driven by an effort to topple the government of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Trump has used allegations of Venezuelan drug trafficking, including claims without evidence that Maduro is leading a drug cartel, as the justification for overthrowing the socialist government. In a post on social media, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth equated the alleged threat of Venezuelan drug cartels to that of Al-Qaeda. Just as Al-Qaeda waged war on our homeland, these cartels are waging war on our border and our people, Hegseth said, adding that there will be no refuge for forgiveness, only justice. That is the most asinine thing I've heard in quite a while. His comments come just a few weeks after the founder of Al-Qaeda in Syria, Ahmed al-Sharaa, met with U.S. officials in New York. Yes, isn't that ironic? Sharaa seized power in Damascus in December, declaring himself president with U.S. backing. Two sources familiar with discussions at the White House told DSN that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is the driving force behind the regime change effort. Oh, gee, what a surprise. Secretary Rubio has earmarked millions of dollars previously allocated for pro-democracy measures in Venezuela to prepare for war. The sources cited Rubio's desire to access Venezuela's vast oil resources as the reason for seeking regime change. Well, that's original, isn't it? Not. On Friday, the Pentagon confirmed it was deploying the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group to the Caribbean Sea, adding to the thousands of troops deployed to the Venezuelan coast. This is embarrassing and outrageous and ridiculous. I can't believe this is... Trump sends aircraft carrier toward Venezuela, massive military buildup. Oh, Lord. Anyway, The same day, Trump announced he was imposing sanctions on Colombian President Gustavo Petro and his family, accusing him of failing to stop the flow of cocaine entering the U.S. The sanctions come after Trump described Petro as an illegal drug leader. In a statement on X, Petro called the sanctions a paradox, reminding Trump that Colombia has long partnered with the U.S. in counter-narcotics operations. Fighting drug trafficking for decades and effectively has brought me this measure from the government of the very society we helped so much to stop their cocaine consumption, the Colombian president wrote. A complete paradox, but not one step back and never on our knees. Well, it's interesting that Intel is saying that. We assume that it is some, who do we have for Intel with regards to that? CIA, would be the main Intel here, right? Because I don't see how anybody else would know about this. I mean, the FBI is local, it's in the country, and NSA is just, surveilling people's phone calls and all over the world and connections and all that. So I think they might be talking about the CIA, which I find very ironic, considering he just gave the green light for the CIA to go topple the Venezuelan government, the Maduro. Don't you find that interesting? I do. I find this whole thing a joke. Although we can't really say it's a joke because it's happening. But yeah, so the intel is saying this is not. No, Venezuela is not trafficking fentanyl to the U.S. The very intel, like I said, that's most likely the one that he green-lighted to go down to Venezuela and do their special ops. Wow. This is crazy. And of course, I wasn't surprised to learn that Venezuela wasn't doing this, because enough analysts who have a lot more knowledge than I do, 100% more, and they also have sources and have been in this, in the CIA and other things like that, and in the military, and they know, and they all said Venezuela is not the one doing this. So now, of course, he's getting on to Colombia. Yes, Colombia has drug problems. I don't know about the Colombian president. Can't tell you. I don't know him at all, or his background or anything. And if he's, an honest person that is trying to fight these drug problems around his coasts and in his country, no idea. But that's what he said, and that's what the U.S. Intel agency has said. U.S. Intel has said about this whole thing. Yet we still have carriers, aircraft carrier boats, ships coming in to around the coast of Venezuela. We have the Marines out there. We have all this, and it's totally over the top. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for following my channel. I hope you have a blessed evening, morning, night, afternoon, wherever you are when you see this. Until next time.